Let's escape from LA. Let's get it. Hey, welcome back to my channel. Hope everyone's doing well out there. And today, yes, we are going to talk about Escape from LA. But first, I want to talk about Carolina Fear Fest, which I spent the weekend at. And I got to say, I went to Carolina Fear Fest with my buddy Dale_A from the Bat and Spider podcast. Dale has an Instagram account and a Twitter account, so check him out. And Bat and Spider have an Instagram account and a Twitter account, so check them out as well. And we had an absolute blast. We met some really cool people in costumes, some really cool vendors, which I'm going to talk about in a second. We got to meet Felissa Rose. She was there, and she was as awesome as advertised. I've always heard that she was a sweet person and really down to earth, and she did not disappoint. She gave me and Dale a big hug. She talked to Dale and I for about 20 minutes. She didn't rush us. She was fantastic. What a sweetheart. CJ Graham was there from Friday 13th Part 6. He did a panel. He was great. I'd seen him once before at a Fangoria convention back in the early 2000s. And he never disappoints. He's just down to earth dude. He'll just tell you whatever. He was free to talk about a lot of stuff. He was awesome. And there were some other actors and actresses there from horror films and horror TV shows. And it was a really fun time. Now, speaking of vendors, I bought this. I want to show this off. I got this fog print off a really cool artist that was there from Black Forest Studios, and his name is Terrence Muncie. You can find him on Instagram. He has a website as well. He has some really cool stuff like this, horror stuff, Star Wars stuff, some other things. Just a really cool guy, really nice guy. I bought 3 prints off of him. This was one of them for myself and 2 for my son. Really cool guy. There was a gentleman there from West Virginia, and he has a company called Amos FX and Arts, and he makes prosthetics for severed heads, severed arms, severed feet, severed fingers, he had severed ear keychains. I actually bought one. Really nice guy, really down to earth, does quality work. Check him out. He has a website, and he also has an Instagram account. Check him out. Got to meet the Pickety Witch, bought a shirt off of her for my wife. Really sweet woman. Has some really quality clothing, and Channel 13 clothing as well. I follow them on Instagram, and he was really nice, and I bought a shirt off of him. So yeah, overall just a great time, filled with a lot of great people. It was a blast, and next year we're looking forward to going back. So if you went this year, next year, I'll be there with you because it was a fun time. So now that's done with Carolina Fear Fest. We're on to Escape from LA. Escape from LA came out August 9th of 1996. It's rated R, had a $50 million budget, and sadly upon release only made a little over $25 million. This movie's an hour and 41 minutes long. Now, this movie came out 15 years after Escape from New York. After the success of Escape from New York, there was an appetite to do a sequel. And there was a script written in the mid-'80s, but Carpenter did not care for it. And obviously him and Kurt Russell went off to do other things after Escape from New York, like The Thing, Big Trouble in Little China. And Carpenter went off to do other things after that, like Prince of Darkness, They Live, etc., etc. So the escape movies were kind of, put on the back burner until about the mid-'90s. There was a gentleman that was running Paramount at the time who was a big fan of Escape from New York. And Kurt Russell came to Carpenter and said, let's do another film. So Deborah Hill, Kurt Russell, and John Carpenter got together and wrote the script for Escape from LA. Kurt Russell was very instrumental. I mean, he produced it as well in writing the script and then obviously starring in it as well. And this is one of his favorite characters that he's ever played. So armed with a $50 million budget, they went off and made this film. Kurt Russell's back as Snake Plissken. This has a great cast as well, just like the first film. Stacy Keach is in this film as Malloy. He is in charge of the United States Police Force. Steve Buscemi's in this film as Map of the Stars Eddie. AJ Langer is in this film as Utopia. She is the president's daughter, and she is what causes the plot to go moving forward. Pam Grier is in this film as Hershey. Bruce Campbell is in this film as the Surgeon General of Beverly Hills. Cliff Robinson is in this film as the president. Now, there was plans on bringing Donald Pleasance back, but at this time in his life, Donald Pleasance was very ill, and he had just got done filming Halloween 6, and sadly he passed away in '95. So he couldn't come back, so they cast Cliff Robinson. And then we also have Peter Fonda in this movie, Peter Jason, a Carpenter regular, and there's other actors you would recognize, especially if you're a Carpenter fan or just, exploitation cinema. There's a lot of character actors that show up in this film. And instead of New York, we have LA as our prison now, because LA had a major earthquake and broke off into the ocean in its own island, and the United States Police Force walled in the shoreline, and now they deport everybody to LA. And Carpenter definitely pokes fun at LA in this film. And Snake Plissken got arrested again, and they offer him a full pardon if he goes in and get this little black box out that Utopia stole and went to Corvo, or Corvo Jones and gives it to him so he has the power to get everybody off the island. Meanwhile, there's an invasion approaching on the United States from other countries, and they want the box back because it controls a ring of satellites around the Earth, and they can use an EMP pulse to shut down a country and turn their power off. But there's also something called a doomsday code that shuts down the whole Earth. So they need this box back. So that is the whole MacGuffin of the film. They give Snake, well, they don't give him much of a choice. They infect him with this virus called the Plutoxin 7 virus, and he has so much ticking time clock, again, that he has so much time to go in, get this box back, and get it back to the President of the United States. And that is the main crux of Escape from LA. Now, there is a lot of cool scenes. Once the build up to see Snake again is all cool. This movie's very well acted. You can tell everybody's having a blast here, and Carpenter shoots it very nicely. Once he goes into LA, there's some cool action scenes. There's some cool, like the basketball court scene with Kurt Russell, which he did practice, and he made all those shots in real life. I don't know how many takes it took, but he actually did make all those shots, even the full court one. There's that scene in Beverly Hills where he gets captured with that woman that's with him by these people that are addicted to plastic surgery, and they all look strange. They need new body parts to make their faces look better. And Bruce Campbell shows up for his awesome scene as the Surgeon General of Beverly Hills. And then we have gunfights and, you know, standoff, like Mexican standoffs, and it's all cool, and it's well shot by Carpenter. And I love the new jacked up score from the original film that Carpenter does. Plus, this film was famous for having that heavy metal soundtrack with Tool, White Zombie, and other bands of the era. I don't think this film is as bad as it's been made out to be over the years. I know there is a fan base for it. Is it as good as the original film? No. I think Escape from New York's the better film, but I don't hate Escape from. I actually enjoy it quite a lot. I think it's a very fun film to sit through. It's not as dark and not as gritty as the first film, but there's a lot of fun things in there, and you can't help but laugh and go on this adventure with Snake Plissken. Kurt Russell is awesome as always, and you can tell they had a bigger budget, although the one spot that holds the film back and dates it badly is the CGI. The CGI is awful. This is mid-90s CGI, and they had a $50 million budget, which was a huge budget, especially for Carpenter. It was his biggest budget he's ever had. But the CGI just doesn't work. It's just badly executed, badly conceived. I mean, nowadays, watching it, it works in the context of the movie because the movie is kind of campy. It's kind of having fun with it. But the CGI is awful. I mean, it looks bad. And so, especially in certain scenes, it looks just downright god-awful. But overall, I still think this is a really fun movie. There's some terrific performances in this film. There's really a lot of fun things as we go along. And I love the ending where Snake makes it back after that final battle in the Happy Kingdom, which was supposed to be Disneyland, but they couldn't get the permission to use Disneyland, obviously, because Disney's very protective of their brand. Where Snake, unlike the first film where he rips the tape out with that important information on it, he hits the world code and shuts down the whole world because he's fed up with how society has become, and he shuts all the power off, and that's the end of the film. So it's a very nihilistic ending once again by Mr. Carpenter and Kurt Russell, and it works. I mean, this is what Snake Plissken's all about. And they even play up like Land of the Free and how they ban meat, cigarettes, and everything that's bad for you, and they talk about that as well, where, you know, America has become a very fascist society, obviously. So they do play that up, and they do poke fun at Hollywood. When Snake Plissken's going in, he goes into a sub underwater, and Carpenter kind of pokes fun at Universal Studios because the sub rams into Universal Studios, and they show the shark, you know, referencing Jaws. And, you know, it's just, there's some really good satire in the film as well. I enjoy it. It's a fun film. Again, not as good as the first film. I would give Escape from LA a 7 out of 10. I still think it's a really good time, and I love John Carpenter as a filmmaker, and I think he does some really good work here as a director. And, you know, I think the one thing that holds it back is some of the effects, the computer generator effects. But overall, yeah, I like this film. It's fun. 7 out of 10 for Escape from LA. What are your thoughts on the sequel? Leave a comment down below. Let me know. Hit the like button. Hit the subscribe button. Share this video. I greatly would appreciate that. I'll be back later in the week with a review for The Sentinel, which I'm really excited about watching that and reviewing that film. Until then, I hope you're all doing well out there, and I'll just see you later. Bye.